Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading channel. My name is Skye.
And I'm Susan, and today we're talking about goal setting.
This is the perfect follow up episode for last week's episode all about vision boards. So if you haven't watched that one, pause this, go watch about vision boards, and then come back here because we're going to talk all about goal setting today. So we goal set every single day in a million different ways. So I feel like we should kind of start from the beginning and give a big rundown about what goal setting means for us.
Yeah, so we've talked about this in every episode pretty much. The morning kickstart. If you don't know about it, I'll give you a quick rundown. It's 5 sentences, one thing each, something you're grateful for, something you're excited about, a virtue you want to be, something you have to do, and something you're avoiding. After I finish that, I go directly into my goals and I just rewrite my goals every single day. Sometimes they fluctuate and it's like I'm not going back and looking at yesterday and making sure they're identical. It's just whatever's on my mind and my heart that day. So I usually have at least 15 things that I write down. Some of them, like I said, are the same. Some of them are day to day stuff. And then I brain dump on the next page, which usually ends up being me talking or thinking more about whatever it is that I want. How do you like goal set day to day?
I do a pretty similar format. I like what you just said and I'm going to try that because I usually try and rewrite the goals exactly the same as I had the day before. Like I'll even go back and like look at the page and rewrite it. And it
Yep.
sometimes can be discouraging because let's say I had a goal of I want X amount of subscribers by this day, and if we didn't meet it, that's okay and it's good to know that and adjust, but it's also like if you're rewriting the exact same thing, you kind of need to adjust and fit your goals to what works for the day-to-day lifestyle because you're not always gonna it's not always gonna be exactly how you want it to be. And I think goal setting, it's okay for things to change.
I think the other thing you can think about too is if you're just repeating the same thing, like let's say you write your goals verbatim as what they were a month ago, you change every single day. So it might not align with you. I know like sometimes I was writing stuff over and over again and it just didn't mean anything. It's like when you say a word over and over again and it just loses all meaning. I think if you adjust them as you go, then the meaning behind it changes too. You should be really passionate about where you're writing and thinking about.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I think sometimes we get stuck about needing to hit a certain number or needing to make sure something's exactly the right way. But if you stop and think, okay, how am I actually going to achieve that? It kind of helps you to reformat what the goal actually is because it might not be exactly what you had thought when you first thought of it.
I saw this TikTok and it was like, you need to start thinking of input goals, not output goals. You saw it too. Okay, so essentially an output goal is what you get. So like if you want, let's say you're manifesting or your goal is $1 million, that's the only thing you're working on. You're just focused on like the number and the output. You should be focused on what you have to put in to get there. So you should be breaking down all of your goals into what you need to make per day, per month, per week, that sort of thing. And then you'd be brainstorming how you can do that. What are you making or producing that's going to bring you income? That sort of thing. So I thought that was really interesting because most of my goals were output goals. And I was like, well, that's why I'm so stuck because I'm focused on the finish line and not the hurdle right in front of me.
Right.
I think just changing your mindset and being open to that change too, because you have to be able to see like your target, which a lot of times it's like running a marathon. You can't see the finish line when you start, but knowing that there are different ways that you're going to get there.
Yep, I had literally written down input goals versus output goals. And I think there's nothing wrong with output goals. And those are like, I think a different way of looking at an output goal is like the big picture goal versus like what you can do today to get the big picture goal. And we talked about this a lot with vision boards because we kind of had the vision board that is all of the output goals. And then the daily tasks, the daily goal setting should be those input short term goals to help you reach the big picture. So, like, I
Yeah.
have written down, like, just as an example, like, output is to get a six pack. And then what are you going to do to get that? Okay, you're going to work out 3 days a week. And that's attainable versus getting a six pack is like, I can write that down every single day. And if that's all I do, it's physically not going to happen. So, that was kind of a good way for me to visualize goal and treating a goal as something you could actually accomplish versus something that's like, oh, I would love for that to happen. Like, okay, how can you make it happen?
Yep. I couldn't agree more. 100%. I think the other thing too is the tense that you're writing your goals in. You can sit there and write I want, I want, I want, but you can also sit there and write I have, I have, I have. And just having that idea of like I already have it. What are you going to do when you have your six pack? How are you going to feel? Like visualizing that is half the battle of just deciding what you want. And creating a goal and saying what you want is hard too. Like you need to really figure out what's going to bring you happiness and joy and success. But I think definitely just that mindset of wanting or I'm never going to have it to I already have it is such a game changer. Such a game changer.
You had taught me to do this almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. But I had always thought that saying things as if you already have them, like the superstitious person in me was like, well, I can't talk about it if I don't already have it. But actually, you can. It's going to help if you do. And I remember Susan had said to me, like, okay, what do you want? Now, imagine you already have it. How do you feel now that you have it or now that you've reached that goal? Write that out. I remember I did one that was like, I wrote it 100 times for X amount of days. I am blank, blank because I am or because I have. And if you see, like, this is how I'm going to feel when I have this, you're going to work extra hard to get it because you know how good it's going to be. Like, you can physically see that it's attainable.
Yeah.
And even
I'll
like more daily goals, we do that. Like I try sometimes it works to say like we have this, but sometimes I even say we will have. Like Dream Life Loading will have X amount of subscribers by the end of the week. And that's better even than I want to have because it's we will have this and then I know, okay, well I got to make that happen. It's not a want, it's going to happen.
it's just gravitating towards you. Even if you don't necessarily you're not on board with the whole manifesting side of things because that is a big can of worms that can be tough, but just understanding that whatever you want, whatever you desire is already yours. Like the fact that you are conscious that you want it, you might have been conscious you wanted this weeks ago and not even known it was like under the surface. And I think I know that happened with me with teaching. I was like, done. I don't want to do this. And I wasn't identifying myself as a teacher. Like probably the last 6 months I was a teacher. I was like, I'm going to be a business owner. And then Dream Life Loading didn't even develop until 4 or 5 months after I quit teaching. Like it was all there under the surface, but it's just a matter of like listening to yourself and processing through what you want, either on paper or online, making digital vision boards, that sort of thing.
And you got your mind in the headspace of I'm going to be a business owner. And was it originally the business you thought? No, but you got yourself in the mindset of that. And then you did all the background work of becoming a business owner way before it even happened. And if you hadn't have gotten yourself in that mindset and decided this is my goal and this is what I'm going to do, Dream Life Loading would not have happened. We would not have been able to do it.
Nope.
So,
Absolutely, because I spent like 6 months doing research. We
right.
never would have been able to open in November on November 11th because 11/11. And I feel like that's such, it was just like meant to be. Like
Oh,
we were meant to open on 11/11. Like everything led up to it. But yeah, it all started with a goal of not wanting to teach.
yep. I think another thing I'd written down is rewriting them every day. I think that's huge. And even as we've talked about, if they change day to day slightly, or you change, even if you completely change a goal and you had, we're going to hit 400 by tomorrow and you don't, okay, you're going to hit 400 by the next day, or you change it 300, whatever. Like, I think set your bar high, but if you have to bring it back down, that's okay. Like, these are just for you. I think there can be a lot of like discouragement with stuff like this, and there shouldn't be. Like, it's okay to have to modify and change your goals, but the act of rewriting them every day is so important, especially to keep it in your head and not forget about the things you want. And writing it down on paper is holding yourself accountable, I think, too.
Absolutely. I saw this TikTok that you were supposed to write 300 things you wanted. And so I took on this beast. I'm like 300 things, like I got this. And I'm at 50. That's where I had to stop. But I realized I started this yesterday morning. I got home, I was cleaning stuff. And the whole time I was like cleaning my home, I was thinking, oh, I could add that to my list. Oh, why didn't I put that? So realistically, my list is probably at like 100 now, but I was actually envisioning my life, my dream life. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to put this here, like down to nitty gritty details that I had never done before. And that like number of needing 300 things to accomplish that little goal of making the list of 300 things was literally putting my like subconscious into that reality and that state. Like to pieces of my wardrobe, to virtues, to things like 10 years from now that I want to be doing. And it was crazy because I had never gotten that far into my future or that far into my goal setting before without that exercise. So I'm going to finish that,
Yep.
but it does take, and that's another example. Like your goals take time. You're not expected to know everything you want today, and no one's putting that pressure on you. And you shouldn't put that pressure on you, like specifically.
Yeah. I did it with 20. And it really helped me to visualize how attainable things are when you really just set your mind to it. And I think another thing we had talked about is making sure you have a detailed plan on how you're going to accomplish those goals. And with such a big list, even 50 or 300, if you put down your big goal first, now you have 300 or 299 more lines to put down all the little steps that are goals to get you to that big one. So I think that's a really good way to do it and goal set to make sure you have all the details to really get there.
And I think a lot of people, like, if you picture your goal as like a staircase, a lot of people just picture it like a line that goes like this, and you need to be picturing it like every single step until you get up there. Like you can't just run up a wall. You go up by steps. And I think that if you can visualize that or just understand that concept, you can celebrate every single step. Like a step in the right direction is better than leaping three-fourths of the way up and then sliding down because you didn't support yourself with the small steps and the small celebrations. And
Yep.
realistically, your dream life, you should be happy every single day. You shouldn't just be celebrating on the days that you achieve your goals. And I think that's a big part of it too, is understanding that setting yourself up with the small steps is going to gratify and satisfy your life because you're going to be excited about those little moments.
I like the staircase analogy. I think you could even think of it as one of those spiral staircases because it's like you can't see the top from the spiral staircase, but you know you're going to get there. So, like every corner you turn, you can see a little bit more, but you still can't quite see it, but you know you're going to get there. So,
Yep.
yeah, I really like that. I feel like there's a lot we can do with that. Side note.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay tuned.
I like
We'll
that.
be manufacturing staircases.
Another thing I'd written down was sharing your goals with like-minded individuals, and this could be family, friends, or like even random people. Like I know we both do this. Like if you're just talking with someone and you're like, "Oh yeah, I really want to do this," and they're like, "Oh, me too," or they're like, "Oh, I never thought of that," and now you've probably made a new friend. But whatever it may be, sharing your goals with people helps make you actually want to achieve them because now people know you want to do this, and also
Yep.
people like Susan and I do this all the time. That's literally how Dream Life Floating happened. But having people to support you whenever you need it is huge with stuff like this.
Well, that was like this past weekend was the holidays and we saw family. And Chris is like, well, Susan's been manifesting. So it'll be like, I can't wait to see where we are in 2023. And it was like, okay, he gets it. But now he's telling his family and my family about it. Like, I need to make it happen. And it's that accountability and like the power of telling people.
Mhm.
Like, not that, and I also love and live by let your success make the noise. Like, don't just sit there and talk about it, like, actually do it. But then when you're in the motion of doing it and you're talking about it, or even just talking about it gets the gears going, like, there's such a balance between the two, but there's such beauty within both.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, if you're sitting around all the time talking about, well, this is what I want to do, that's not going to do anything. But if you say, this is what I am doing for what I want, that's huge.
Mhm.
And you're going to motivate everyone around you and you're going to keep yourself motivated because now
Yeah.
you're not only
Now you
like,
own it.
you should be doing this for yourself, of course, but it kind of is a nice little, like the little bit of not peer pressure. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's accountability.
Yeah.
But yeah, peer pressure in a way. Like,
A very
if you don't do
positive form
it,
of peer pressure, but
yeah, yeah.
and it can be scary. I know with Dream Life Loading when it first started and it's like we don't know how people are going to take this and obviously we wanted support from people and we knew that we would find the community of people that loved this as much as we did, but it's scary at first to say like this is my like deepest goal and now I'm putting it out there and now we need to make it happen. But
Yeah.
it's
Well,
when
I
we
think our
do it.
first Right. Our first YouTube video is a perfect example of that. You posted it and neither of us touched it or shared it for like 4 days. And then we both were like, well, we should probably share that now. And we're like, yep, we just got to do it. And it was because it was the first time we'd done something like this. Also, we were like, I mean, I was petrified. Just, I don't even know what I was scared of.
Mhm.
It was obviously the doubt of not knowing how it was going to go and the fear that it wasn't going to work out because we put so much time and energy and effort into it. And then there's also that social component of being judged. We're both from very small towns. And it's like we're going to put it on the internet, and but it doesn't matter because
Yep.
we're enjoying it and we're having so much fun and we're finding the community that we want, and we're sharing stuff that's important to us that hopefully is making a difference with you guys. So that outweighed being fearful that it either wasn't going to work out or people were going to make fun of us. And here we are. You can make fun of us, but we're wearing cool sweatshirts and we're living our best lives. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's super vulnerable putting yourself out there. I mean, social media, of course, but even like telling people anything about yourself can be super scary and like it you feel very vulnerable. I remember posting the first time about Dream Life Loading and it was like, "Oh man, like this is like really something I care about." And then it was like, "That's enough. If I care about this, that's totally enough." And I mean, if I think it's a little bit of a tangent, but if people want to make fun of you for something that you love, what how is that? You shouldn't take any like offense to
be in
that.
that
That's on
circle of
them.
people.
If you love it,
Right.
then you love it, and that's literally all you need.
I don't think that was a tangent because you can apply that entire message to your goals. Your goals might like people might make fun of you for your goals. Like I know I've said stuff that I've wanted to do and people like laugh at me. I was literally told that I wasn't going to be successful in certain aspects of my life, and I am. Like, and it's not, yes, sometimes it lights a fire under me and that's my motivation, like just to prove people wrong. More so earlier in my life, not so much now. Now I live for me and for the things that I love. But one of those things that I was told I wasn't going to be successful in is something that I love and I am passionate about. And, at the end of the day, you have to do it for you.
Yep, absolutely. And that kind of went into my next point, which was don't give up. And
Yep.
we have both experienced this in personal aspects and in business aspects. And I know we're going to experience it many, many, many,
More. Yep.
many more times down the road. But you can't give up because every time you want to give up, if you push and you come over that hurdle, you're gonna see, okay, that's why this happened. That's why I had this bump in the road. This it all worked out exactly as it should. And I mean, you learn a new thing every time you overcome an obstacle and you choose not to give up. By making that choice to not give up and keep going with your goals, you're teaching yourself resilience and you're also proving it to yourself that you can do this.
Yeah. And it's so much more rewarding when you get there and you wanted to give up or you faced, challenges. If everything in your life was easy, you'd be bored, but you wouldn't have the concept of satisfaction or pride because you had no resistance. Like that's where you get strong is when you face resistance.
Yeah.
And the famous words of Chris Jenner, if there's if they say no, you're talking to the wrong person. And it's
Yeah.
true. Like it's just true.
It is. And I think sometimes when you have something really big that you're trying to accomplish, and I know this happened to me, like I was writing down every single day what I wanted, and it just wasn't happening for months. And it was like, I want to stop writing it down because I want to be done with it and forget about it. And it was like 3 days later, it all worked out because I kept going, and it happens all the time. It's like you can't forget about things because you wrote it down for a reason, you care about it, so keep going.
And it's usually when you want to quit that like within 24 to like 48 hours, everything turns around and it just works out. Like when you feel the most frustrated, that's when you're at a breaking point or that's when you're at the breakthrough. Oh my God, that's it. You're either at the breaking point or the breakthrough. You have to choose. You
Yeah.
saw that live,
Yep.
kids.
That's going to be a TikTok. I just know that that's going to be a TikTok. Yeah, exactly. The last thing I wanted to say, all I wrote down was a watch pot never boils, and I think what I meant by this was like you should be tracking your goals and you should be holding yourself accountable and doing things to make them happen. But if you sit there and I'll take our YouTube for example. When we first started, we had 2 followers and they were probably two
I think it
subscribers.
was us.
Us, yep. And we sit there, we post a video, and I was like, oh my God, we get no subscribers. And then, you know what? I was like getting a little frustrated by it, and I didn't check. I went back today, and we had 15 more subscribers than the last time I checked. And I was like, look what happens when I wrote it down every single day that we're going to get more subscribers. So I wasn't forgetting about this goal by any means, but I stopped obsessing over it in a way that wasn't productive for me. So I think
And
that's
I,
important to remember.
I think we should also talk about the little break we just took because that is also super important. So we were really I was burnt out, not with Dream Life Loading, but just in general. I had so much on my plate. I was like, something's got to give. Like I'm exhausted and I'm not giving what I want to be giving to this company. And I won't speak
Yeah.
for you. Did you feel similar?
Oh yeah. We're on the same, always on the same page.
Always on the same. So we decided, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we're like, we're done until the new year. Like we need this time to rest and relax and recoup. And I feel like we both have used this time so productively. We used what we already had made for Dream Life Loading. We didn't produce an ounce of anything new. Like we literally just rested. And that time was so useful.
Oh
And
yeah.
it wasn't that we weren't working on our goals. We were literally recharging our batteries, and we've had the most productive, successful day today, which is our first day back.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things that you need to apply it to your goals too. Sometimes if you're just like driving and driving and driving, sometimes you just need to give up not give up, but give a little, like give yourself space, time, recoup, reframe everything, and just rest unapologetically. Like you're not lazy for resting. That could be a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
But just recoup. It will be worth it. I promise.
Oh yeah. You can't do it all in a day. You can't do it all in a week, a month, a year. Like you have to break it up. You have to do your small goals to make
Yeah.
your big one. And sometimes that small goal is allowing yourself to not open your laptop for a day because that can be I mean it can be really difficult. But look, I mean
Yeah.
it all works out and it's all yeah.
Yeah. We have probably got more done today than we would have in the last 2 weeks combined because we were just so fried.
Yep.
So it all worked out. Do we want
Absolutely.
to do favorite?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to start?
No, you always start.
Okay. So this is like, okay, so my grandfather is a wonderful man, but in general, I would not classify him as a sentimental man. So this is why this means so much. My grandmother passed away when I was 6, and he made her like a cookbook of her recipes for the whole family. So there's like a letter from him to us, and then inside these are like her actual recipes with her handwriting. He scanned all of these in and built this book. And it has like pictures of all of us like throughout it. That's little me.
Oh.
And this just means so much, especially like starting to cook, like the fact that these are all hers, her handwriting. And then they even have like what we used to have for spreads for like holidays and everything. So they wouldn't forget anything. And it just means the whole world to me. And this is her garden from their old house. And those were like herbs that she would cook with all the time. So this just, oh, this means everything to me. It was my step grandmother's idea, but he constructed the whole thing and scanned everything in and built it.
That's such a special gift. And like,
Like speechless,
yep,
speechless.
the family memories from that too, like you have so many memories from those recipes, and then I just imagine like you with your future kids like looking through that book and picking out recipes that like great grandma made, like
Yeah, she like gets to live on through the thing she loved most, which was food and that like Italian culture. So
oh yeah.
it just means so much.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite, or my, yeah, my physical favorite was this was one of the gifts that Nick gave me for Christmas. And it's a perfumed body oil. And this is never something I would have bought myself. And it was very much like I opened it and I was like, I've never mentioned wanting something like this. Like I've literally never said anything. So I don't know where he found this idea, but it was one of those things. It was like such a luxury to like get out of the shower and put on like a body oil that smells
Yeah.
nice. But it was like this is such a nice way to wind down at the end of the night. And I mean it's so dry here, so like the moisture aspect of it is really nice too. But just one of those things we both talked about, like wanting to be more into skincare and stuff in the new year. It was like the bottle looks so pretty on my counter, and it was such a nice thoughtful gift because he knows I love my nighttime routine and all of that. And scent memory and like scents plays such a big role. Like I like my like energetic scents in the morning, like citrus, things like that, and like more calming scents like this at night. So yeah, I just thought what a nice little way to
So
wind down,
thoughtful.
right? Yeah. So I used it for the first time yesterday, and it's a very nice scent too, which obviously is important. So yeah, thought that was nice. Something different too.
So this is unrelated but kind of related. Both of the shirts that her and I are wearing are Dream Life Loading. I just had to
They
post that.
are.
This is my from your capsule wardrobe. It's tall. It goes like all the way down. And then you're wearing the hoodie, but I
I
just
love
had
it.
to
Yep.
put that in there because this I've been living in this since it came last week. It's
It's
thick.
so
I wear it as a jacket, but at the same time it just matches everything. So
No, I love it. And I've been living in this, which like it's I love in the back too, says loading. It's and they're really cozy sweatshirts.
they are.
I
Yeah.
mean, this came out a month and a half ago now, and I just got it because it's Italy, but you know, we made it, got it here. Yeah. So I love it.
Okay, so our spiritual favorite. Mine was that 300 list, which no, I have not finished, but I just love what it has done in my brain. It has changed my brain chemistry, if you know that TikTok trend.
I think I wanted to talk about this too with the list is something that we've been talking more about on TikTok is like the idea of making your goals list or your to-do list as almost a grocery list. So Susan's kind of doing it with that. I did it with mine too. And in the sense of like you have a grocery list where you look at everything you have like in your pantry and then what do you have and what are you missing? And the what are you missing or what do you need from the store is that list. So I kind of when I did mine I visualized it that way and it was kind of fun to write out your goals as if it's easy enough to go just pick them up at the store because in so many ways it is. So yeah, I love the list. I love it.
So good.
My spiritual favorite is the phrase kind is never wrong. And I'm not going to go into all the detail on this yet, but there are very, very exciting things coming with that phrase for us here at Dream Life Loading. I'll kind of explain with moving to a new country, moving post grad, all the things I know we all have or will experience, like meeting new people and being in a new environment and all those things. And for anyone, especially I have terrible anxiety at certain points, and it's really hard to put yourself out there. And my big issue was I was scared that like am I going to say the wrong thing to these people or like I often leave a social situation and I'm like did I say the wrong thing or whatever all those doubts and I kind of stopped myself and said kind is never wrong as long as I'm being kind in these situations as long as I'm being kind to the new people I meet to people I'm trying to become closer with whatever it is I'm not doing anything wrong if I'm being kind. So I'll leave it at that for now, but that is that phrase, and it's been on my mind more this week even than it has in the past. So yeah, very exciting things coming, but I love that phrase. I love the mantra.
Yeah, I was gonna say stay tuned for that because we will be dropping, I would say hints
Oh yeah,
until then, but an official launch date January 11th because 111. What you couldn't ask for a better day. So
yeah. I'm so
okay.
excited.
Oh, it's so good, guys. Like you're not even ready for it. It's too good.
I
But
know. I
okay,
want to
so
say more.
we'll do a whole video on that. Actually, next week we're doing a video. We have our first guest star, and we're talking all about finance and creating your dream financial life in 100 days. So we're starting up a new challenge on January 1st, and she's going to come in and explain kind of how it all works. And I'm so excited to share the wealth, literally.
I know. And that episode will go out on either the 3rd or the 4th, whatever that Wednesday is. So right at the beginning of the year. So I
It's
mean,
so perfect.
you're gonna
The
spend the
challenge,
you're going to spend the first 100 days of 2023 fixing the way you treat your finances and
yeah.
then you're set for 2023. Like I am so excited and I think starting it at the beginning of the year is going to be perfect.
So it's January 1st through April 15th or something like that. But we'll get into all of that next week. So thank you guys so much for watching and like and subscribe.